Hey everybody, how's it going? So today I want to read a journal entry from 15 years ago. I managed to find the password to an old account of mine. I found the serial number of the first MacBook that I ever fixed and sold in there, and I'll post that to my community page. And I also found this journal entry in there, and I kind of wanted to share it with you. It's been a while since I read this, and if someone told me that I would be running a business by myself, much less a business that employed over a dozen people, I would just probably laugh at them at the time that I wrote this. So this was written 15 years ago, so I was probably around 17 years old at the time. So here it is. Here goes. On a bike ride to work, this very old guy goes through a red light around 12 to 14 miles an hour while it's red. He seems like he is half asleep. The piece of crap bike that I'm using to get to work can't stop in time since the brakes are worn out, but I did manage to swerve. I still got hit by it, and I still got to work. I'm told that I'll be written up if I don't work the next day, where I'm supposed to be off, since by accident I put a tennis racket on top of a racquetball racket the night before. I work the next day, limping around since my leg hurts from the day before, and I accidentally leave the vacuum out, and I get a write-up for it. I don't know whether or not the other department took the vacuum to use it, and I didn't really care to check since I didn't want to walk around anymore as my leg hurt. He tells me I signed off saying I would do the job right when I got there and that I didn't. I told him I worked on a day that I wasn't supposed to as a favor after injury after he blackmailed me into it even though my leg was killing me. So I quit. He took the write-up away the moment I quit and told me he wanted to keep me because I was one of the best department employees and claimed he was kidding about the write-up for the tennis racket bullcrap. The next day, he tells the department manager, who makes $1.59 more than I do, that I cried so he could not give me a write-up. Since saying he caved because I quit and the department is full of many people who quit after dealing with him who don't care about their job, is out of the question. This guy is the biggest douche I've ever dealt with. My boss, the department manager, is so angry at the way he treats everyone, mainly him, that he's petitioning to get him fired. Go figure. I wanted to discuss this a little bit, and because this was a fond memory of mine. So I used to work at a store called Modell Sporting Goods that recently went bankrupt. Karma, and I got about $6 an hour, and it is what it is. It was one of those jobs where you have teenagers doing most of the work without really much education. You're just like you're putting stock on the shelves, you're sweeping stuff, and I remember my dad said regardless of whatever job you do, anything worth doing is worth doing well, as long as you chose to do it. So I put in my best effort. I would go through the stock room and try to find any place outside of the stock room where we could fit stuff. So this was a really small store, but it's still got a lot of stock, so it would be difficult to get it all out there, because people are not going to buy stuff in a stock room. They're going to buy stuff that's out. So I would always find creative ways to try and fit the stock out because it's going to sell when it's outside. And I would also go through all the gondolas, and I would take all the crap under all the gondolas, and I would go to the machine in the front and try to find barcodes that I could put on those so that they would sell. Because if something is under a gondola, the gondolas are the thing that you pick the merchandise off of. So if it's under that, nobody can see it. And if it has no barcode, there's no way for it to be rung up so that someone can buy it. So I would try my best to match it with the 7 or 8 digit character descriptions in our 1980s computer system so that the stuff could at least go out and some money could be recouped from it. I really put an honest, incredible level of effort in for the first 8 or 10 months of that job. And I remember, when that happened, being particularly aggravated because I didn't, try to call in sick or anything like that. I got hit by a car. It's like, it wasn't that fast. I'll go to work. And they start picking at ridiculous crap. Like there was a vacuum cleaner that was left out. I thought the guy from the other department was going to use it. And I didn't walk back upstairs to check because my leg hurt. And the other guy that I was working with said he was going to use the vacuum. So I remember getting my write-up. And I said, okay, cool. You're going to write me up for this in spite of the fact that I do more work than most of the other people in the department. By your own admission, fine, I quit. It's like, this is $6 an hour. This isn't worth dealing with. I'll find another. There's literally no lower I can go than $6 an hour because that's rock bottom. Or as Chris Rock said, the minimum wage is when someone says that if they could pay you less, they would. So I quit, and then he rescinded it and apologized for it. And then the department manager is smirking at me when I came in the next day, and he's like, "Are you crying?" And I go, "Well, what are you talking about?" And he said, X, I'm not going to say his name, X said that you cried. So he had to take away the write-up because he felt bad for you. And I was fuming. That manager wasn't in today. I wanted to. I wanted to go over to the baseball section, take a bat, and do something with it that would get me in a lot of trouble at that point in time. He told the entire department that I cried, rather than just admitting nobody wants to work for me, and I will have to do all this work if everybody quits. So I conceded. And the lesson that I remember getting from this place and from working here was I always thought to myself, if I'm in this position, I'm going to treat people differently. The way that I wound up quitting this job was in the summer of 2006. So we had to wear a polyester jersey and a name tag. And there was one day that the air conditioner died in the store. I forget if we had a steel or aluminum ceiling and roof. I forget. It was something where when the sun shines, it's boiling in this place. And the place was over 97, 98 degrees. And I'm wearing my normal shirt, but I have a polyester jersey over it that has the store name on it. So I took the jersey off and I had the name tag on it. I was still going up to everybody saying, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And one of the managers says, you need to wear the jersey. And I said, it's really, really warm today. Do you mind if I just do this? All the customers appear to be happy. And then he said something like, pussy or whatever. And I just walked out and quit right then and there. It's like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. You stock the shelves yourself. You're going to be that much of a jackass. And one of the things that I got out of it was that idea that someday, if I'm ever in this position, I'm not going to do this to people. And one of the things that I think is really important if you ever do start a business is to remember what it was like to make $6 an hour, to remember what your experience was like working at, Walmart or KFC or Modell's Sporting Goods or any of that. Because I know people that are some of probably the best bosses and employers that I've ever met, and one of the reasons that they are really, really good to people is because they remember what it was like when they worked at Modell's or Walmart or KFC or any of these horrible businesses. Whereas some of the worst bosses in the world, like the one that I just mentioned here, are the people that completely forget what it's like. The moment that they go up one position in the rank, they immediately forget what it was like to be a worker. Now, I don't think that I'm a particularly good employer. I don't think I'm a good boss. I don't think I'm a good business owner by any means. But I think I'm better than I would be if I forgot what it was like to have this experience. This experience is not an experience that is 15 years old to me. This isn't something in the rearview mirror. This is it's in my head. This is an experience that happened yesterday. And that's not because I want to hold on to negativity and let it own me, but rather it's because I want to remember what it's like to feel this way so that I don't do this to other people. And, I think it's important to remember these experiences. If you're one of those people that went straight to college, your parents paid for your way through college, so you were able to live at home, you didn't have to have a job, and then right out of it, you were able to get some $80,000 or $220,000 or $200,000 a year job, and you've never really had the experience of this, it may actually be helpful to spend maybe 1 month or 2 months or even 3 months working at a bottom of the barrel job, maybe working at a supermarket, working at Walmart, working at a place like Modell's. You can't work at Modell's because they're out of business. Excuse the smile on my face from that. So that you get an idea of what it's like to be on the other side of that. And I think that that's going to improve the way you are as a manager. I think in many ways that I'm a tough person to work for. I have high expectations. I expect people to be able to adapt very quickly to new things. I expect people to take on projects happily that may be overly ambitious. I expect people to run in the direction that I'm running in when I may not, I may not have a full map of exactly where we're going. I just know the direction. Come on over here. I think that I'm a difficult person to work for in many ways, but one thing I do try to keep in mind, and one thing I've always tried to do, is ensure that I never treat people the way that I was treated when I worked at, like 3P delivery for Lowe's or Modell's Sporting Goods or any of these types of places. Or when I was in, there are certain aspects of when I was an intern in the music business working for free at some of these studios that I will cherish forever as amazing experiences. And there are others where it's just, I won't do that to people even if I'm paying them, $500K a year. I think it's important to remember what it's like so that when you do get to the point of being a business owner, whether it's 1 person, 10 people, 15 people, or 1,000 people, that there are just certain lines that you'll know not to cross, because the moment you start crossing it, you'll remember what it was like when you were on the other side of that line, and you'll stop yourself. So if you are one of those individuals that has worked, for in a higher level position throughout your entire career because of where you came from, I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to say, ha ha, or, boo on you because you never had to experience struggle or anything like that. Because if I was in a position in my life where I never had to experience struggle, I probably would have chosen that path myself. And most people watching, admittedly, probably would as well. But just maybe spend a month, maybe volunteer someplace where you're dealing with someone who is egomaniacal prick, like some of the places that Erica volunteers at. I can say that now because she left, so she doesn't hear me. She'll never know. But yeah, Erica volunteers with people that sometimes every now and then treat her like shit, but she does it because she wants to help the community, and she remembers to herself, it's not about the boss, it's about the people that I help, whether it's at a food drive or anything else. Some of them are nice, but a lot of them are dicks. Sometimes I really wish I could be there just because, I know they wouldn't say that shit if there was someone else there. But anyway, that's a tangent for another video of people picking on a 5'3", 100-pound girl because they think they can. But when you deal with these situations, when you deal with working in that environment, you'll probably change the way that you act as a boss. And there was this one mayor recently of a city. I forget the city. I wish I remembered the name of the city. But it was a mayor of a city, and he decided to go undercover and actually go to a homeless shelter to see how everything worked at the homeless shelter. So he pretended that he was homeless. He made sure that he kind of grimed himself up a little bit, so that people wouldn't recognize him. And he went to the homeless shelter and he saw the way the employees treated him. He saw the way other people treated him. He saw the way the system worked. And he realized that what his staff was telling him about how the homeless shelter worked was nothing like the reality of it. And the way that he was able to learn this and then change how the entire system works to make it better for those who are disaffected in poverty or actually homeless was to just, not even walk a mile in their shoes. Just spend a day in their shoes and see what it was like. So that's about it for today. As always, I hope you learned something. And I think that if I had skipped this step and I had just went directly to being a business owner, again, I don't think I'm a good business owner. I don't think I'm a good employer or a boss, but I think I would have been way worse at it than I am right now if I didn't have these experiences in mind so that I could say, when I'm in that position, I will never do that to people. All right. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And BlackBerry hopes that you learned something. BlackBerry, don't bite the microphone. Don't nuzzle the mic. Really? You always have to nuzzle the microphone, don't you? All right. See y'all later.